And thank whoever started the www.intranet so that we could have this space to co-create even during a shutdown. You can put your hands back down on your lap or wherever is comfortable. And let's thank Zach. Yeah, send him some love. Lift your hands up and just send him some love, right? And send everybody love and white healing light throughout the entire universe. They need you. They have limits. You don't. So just send love to everybody and feel your hand. Feel the tingling sensation in your fingers. Feel your hands start to liven up and feel the fire inside of your body. All that energy. And as you come back to your breath, and as you come back to yourself, go ahead and wiggle your toes and thank the floor for supporting you. Go ahead and wiggle your hands and thank the air for supporting you. And go ahead and slowly open your eyes. So today is quite a day. It's going to be quite a day. Thank you, Zach. That was awesome.
I don't know if it worked, but
Worked perfectly.
for us.
Worked perfectly. Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So when we started this journey 14 days ago, we started this journey because we all want to be limitless in life. And there's things that hold us back. There's insecurities that hold us back. There's things that we've done or have been done to us that we feel shame around and that hold us back. And those are the limits that we are here to break through. And if my story can inspire you, well, cool. That's awesome. And if my story doesn't inspire you, maybe it's just the story you need to hear so that you can be empathetic and have compassion towards those around you. Because we all have a story. Everybody does. It doesn't matter who you are, where you live, how you grew up. We all have a story. Some of our stories are really, really simple, but they're complicated. They're complicated, right? And some of our stories are really complicated, but they're super simple. Isn't that weird how that can work out? And some of us go down the journeys where we need a little bit more help from the universe to learn things. Some of us, we've already done the learning in our previous lives. But what I'm going to share today with you guys is basically all of the stuff that I've been through, some of it, and who I am, and where I'm going, and to continue the journey. I didn't grow up in a household that was problematic. I didn't have parents that were missing. I didn't have grandparents that weren't loving. I had all that stuff, like some of you, maybe like not some of you. But something in my world just didn't fit right. You know what I mean? Like sometimes some things just just aren't quite there for you. And for some reason, you just feel like there's a void. For some of us, that void is I'm not worthy. For some of us, that void is I'm not good enough. For some of us, that void is I'm not lovable. Whatever it is for you, we're going to shoot that little bitch in the head and let her die. Or him, whatever. Because they no longer serve us. And you no longer need them. I don't need them, and you don't need them. So growing up, normal life, right? Everything was cool. Everything was kosher. normal house. I actually grew up in the back of a Mercedes. It's quite nice, to be honest with you. And then life started happening. And around the age of 5, maybe 6, I just never felt like I belonged with the other kids. I wasn't as athletic as they were. I was a skinny, kind of weird, nerdy kid. I didn't really love sports like they did. I wasn't really good at video games like they were. I had to get glasses. Okay, big deal. This is when I always say I'm ahead of my time. I had glasses and braces before it was cool. Now you guys buy glasses and you want braces because you want to be like everybody else. But back then, I was a standout. Yep, I know. Trend setting since 1987. And our parents decided that they wanted us to learn about our culture. So we got sent to India for boarding school, my older brother and I. That was fantastic. That was great. It was wonderful. It was a good experience. I don't know that I would want to send my kids there. But, you know, when you're in 6th grade, you're being trucked all over the world by yourself. It gives you a sense of independence. And the first school we went to, I would definitely not recommend anybody ever going there unless they wanted to see what a real shithole looked like, was a real shithole. And it was a real disappointment, and it was a real letdown. And I would get sick there, and I would get to the point where I would have to go home because I would get boils on my ass and on my back because the sanitation there just wasn't very good. Why does any of this matter? You'll see. So it sucks to be there, and it sucks to be around that environment that you didn't really want to be involved with, but you do it, right? Because what doesn't kill us makes us stronger. And let me tell you, I gained a lot of strength by spending time overseas, especially at that age. You know, and maybe back in the day when my parents were young, it was more common, but I was a good kid. I didn't do anything wrong, but I felt punished. I felt real punished. And I felt like I wasn't worthy because I got sent away to another school, to another country for 2 years as a little kid. It's not like our friends got sent away. It was just us and our cousins. And we just trucked it out because what else are you going to do? But I remember crying my eyes out and just wanting to come back home more than anything. And our parents were like, no, just toughen up. You'll be fine. It's a good school. And I'm like, no, it's not. There's so much corruption here. That started teaching me, you know, you got to start looking out for yourself, right? You got to take care of yourself. Parents are going to love you. They're going to do the best for you, but they're going to do what's best for you based off of their thoughts. Remember, if you read the article, if you read the whatever I wrote, we're not here to make other people happy. We're not here to make our parents happy. We're here to make our soul happy. If we go back to day 0, day 1, what's your soul's purpose? Is your soul's purpose here to make your parents happy, or is your soul's purpose here because you have a fucking story that needs to be heard and you're going to fucking tell it? I don't know. It's your choice. You do you, boo. So we come back from high school. So I come back. So I leave in 6th grade. We get dropped down a grade because they're way more advanced in math and science. And we come back and we get elevated to the same grade that we're supposed to be in. So we didn't lose time per se, but I come back, our parents built a new house in a new neighborhood, and awesome. It's big, awesome house, like super cool house. And now I'm going into the last semester of 8th grade, and I don't want to go to the new school because I already felt like I didn't belong anywhere. So I didn't want to go to the new school. So I went to my old school where all my old friends were, except for when you go from 6th to 8th grade, you're not the same human being that you once were. So my old friends were now not my new friends. And they weren't my old friends because we were different. We were totally different. And they were into girls, and they were into hanging out and skateboarding and football and some weed and some of this and some of that. And I just didn't belong. So freshman year comes around, and I remember my freshman year so vividly. It was me and one other kid, the cool kids. No, we were not the cool kids. And we would walk around every day at lunchtime, just the two of us. And we'd look at the other groups of kids and be like, oh, that's cool. Oh, they look cool. Oh, I wonder what they're talking about. Because we didn't really have, we're two dudes, like we're two like 13-year-old kids. We didn't have a lot to talk about. So, man, how's puberty going for you? Oh, it's going great. I'm getting a little bit of a thicker, a little bit more hair on my body. And, you don't really talk about that. Guys don't talk about that. I don't know what you girls do, but guys definitely don't do that. So freshman year was a bust. Absolute bust. But remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And you develop mechanisms to deal with the things that cause you pain. Humor, laughter, pot. You develop an addiction to pot. And let me tell you, weed is a hell of a friend when you have no one else, or you perceive to have no one else. So high school was really all about being high at school. The nice thing about being a nerdy kid, though, and being funny and somewhat witty and intelligent, is that I learned how to get away with a lot of shit, which will come back and bite me in the ass, which we'll talk about in a minute. Or maybe it came back to teach me a lot of lessons that I missed out on in life. You do the math. I've already done it. Why do I tell you this? Because we all have a backstory. I'll tell you, your backstory doesn't matter at the end of the day. The thing that matters is what you learn from your backstory. So my buddies and I started to sell weed, lots of it, like pounds of weed in high school. Like we sold a lot of drugs. And then they started selling some other stuff, a little bit more hardcore, which I didn't know about it, what it was. Internet wasn't really super popular back then. I just knew that I didn't want to mess with that stuff. So I tried a couple of things out. I did a little bit of speed as a kid. Remember staying up till 4 o'clock in the morning and we were waxing our parents' cars. You could eat off the tires. They were so clean. Then when we were done with the cars, we cleaned the garage. And you could eat off the floor. It was so clean. And I'm like, I don't like this stuff. So drugs and alcohol are super available to high school kids. Sorry, parents that are on here. But if you don't talk to your kids about the options available to them, somebody else will. And the other person that's going to talk to them is probably going to be an older drug dealer that wants your kid's money. So we would buy weed from the east side and we would have a good old time. Our parents owned a restaurant and we would work there and we would make pizzas and I would close up the store and we'd drink and we would party in the cold freezer. And me and my buddies just had a grand old time. And we'd make the greatest creations ever. I mean, people that say pot's bad for you, you've never made a pizza when you're on one with the full stock kitchen and pizza ovens and dough. Let me tell you, we could toss pizzas like champions. I mean, there should have been a pizza tossing competition. I would have kicked your asses in it. And I get older and the drugs continue. School wasn't really a priority for me because let's just be honest, I didn't really feel that worthy. And I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like I was smart enough, right? All these bullshit beliefs, right? All these things that we know don't really exist, but we allow them to become our reality, right? These are things that came when I was like 5th, 6th, 7th year of age. I mean, how dumb was I then? Like, how dumb was I yesterday? Oh my God, I can't believe I would do that. Those are the easy things. We had some run-ins with cops and the security guards at school, but like I said, I was friendly. We were good kids. That didn't really matter. And then get a little bit older. You decide that it's time to go to college because your SAT, you basically got the same score as your name because you didn't really care. So I think you get a minimum score and I got like 6 points over that. I'll tell you, I was a smart kid. I hire smart people. And I go to junior college, and I realized that I don't like junior college that much because I was selling knives and I was making like $1,000 a day. That was like before noon. So my friends would still be asleep. I made like $1,000. I'd already hit the, the weed guy, got some alcohol, stole my cousin's ID. And I'm like, hey guys, I got like a PlayStation 3 or something. I don't know what was back then. Come over to my house. Let's barbecue. Let's hang out. We lived in Santa Barbara. Let's just party. So clearly I did not pass any of my classes because I never went. I mean, who gives a 17-year-old, I was 17 when I graduated, who gives a 17-year-old an 8 o'clock class? Pfft, that's stupid. That's the stupidest shit ever. But to wake up at 6 o'clock in the morning to go to work and make phone calls to go sell knives to people, no problem, all day long. To go to an 8 o'clock class, you best be tripping. Not because I don't like to learn. I've always enjoyed learning. I just didn't like learning what they were teaching because it was boring. It didn't do anything for me. Right? People don't have ADD. We just have a shitty school system that doesn't teach people what they need to know. Stop teaching me about fucking history class. I don't give a fuck about what happened 300 years ago. If I do need to know about it, I'll go learn it myself. Teach me about manifestation and meditation. Teach me about consciousness and coming from the heart in life. Teach me about connecting with people like you guys. Don't teach me about freaking bullshit that's probably half mistrue and the other half's all bullshit anyways. So the knives was a highlight of my life for a long time. I loved the job. I loved the product. I loved the people. I loved the atmosphere. It was very positive. And I excelled in there. I did super well there. Trophies and speeches and conferences. And I realized there and there that I would rather help others do well than help myself. Because if I help you guys hit your goals, you in return, it's just karmic, whatever you want to call it, just karmic payment. The universe will somehow take care of me. But you don't do it because you want to be taken care of. You do it because that's just who you are. And not everybody's like that. Some people are and some people aren't. And there's nothing wrong with one or the other. You don't have to be either or. You could be both, but you don't have to be one or the other to still be a good human and help people around you. For me, I just always wanted to share my story and my voice. I'm told I talk a lot by a lot of people. And I listen a little by Superman Wolf guy. So then I finished college. I actually got a degree. It took me 3 colleges to get 1 degree, but I got it. 2 junior colleges and 1 real college. And I got my degree and I graduated. And my buddy's girlfriend has this job at this commercial leasing company. Remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. And she goes, hey, Vic, you're a great salesperson. Like, you sell my boyfriend a lot of weed. You should probably get a job over here and quit the valet thing. I'm like, the valet is great. I make so much in tips and it's all cash. Like, this is so easy. She's like, no. These guys are making real money, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 a year. And this is back in 2004 or 5. Like, serious money back then. It's still serious money now, but it was like real serious back then. I'm like, shit, I can sell. I go in there. I couldn't sell. When I hated the company, I hated what they stood behind. I hated what their practices were. And I stuck it out because I was making 40 grand and that was good money back then. I stuck it out till one day my boss is like, hey, Vic, we need to have a talk. And I'm like, ah, shit. It's like the 4th time he said it, but this time you could see the seriousness in his voice, in the face. And I'm like, dude, are you constipated? Because have you had your morning coffee diarrhea like yet? Or are you like, where are we at right now in the day? Because I want to be in after that, because you're really grumpy before that. And it was first thing in the morning. So I knew he hadn't had his coffee shits yet, because we avoided the bathroom when he did. And he calls me into his office and he says, hey, Vic. And I'm like, I know. He's like, it's just not working out. You've sold nothing. You've been here for 3 months. And I'm not trying to compare you to other people, but we have people that started last week that are already on the board. And I'm like, I know. I have shitty leads. He's like, no, you don't. I'm like, I know. I just hate this job. So we parted ways. and he went to his bathroom and probably exploded it. And I picked up my couple of belongings and I left. And we got into business with my brother and my dad, and we opened up some cell phone stores. We purchased a couple that were up and running, and some we started on our own. And that was a really hard business, but it was a good business, and we did well. We did it for a couple of years, and that's when my mom put me on a dating website. Remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Love you, Mom. So she puts me on an Indian dating website, and she gives me the name of Boy Toy for You. That's what my reaction was. What? Like, Mom, why? And that's where I meet my ex-wife. Now, in the Indian culture, you get married and you stay married, right? Not because you're happy, because that's just what you're supposed to do. You're just supposed to do it. When we got married, we didn't even see the person. We didn't even know the person. Well, I'm not you, and I don't give a shit. I don't care. It's about me. This is my life, not yours. But anyways, I take over the account, and this girl starts messaging, and I start messaging her, and she's super smart. She's pretty, intelligent, blah, blah, blah. And we decide to meet. And there was something in me that knew from the get-go that it wasn't going to work. Probably all of my friends telling me, probably my gut telling me, probably the world telling me. But because I wasn't listening, I hadn't learned the lesson that I needed to learn yet in life. You should write that down. When things continuously happen to you, it's because you're being a dumbass and you're not listening to the universal messages of change. So you can do it the easy way, or you can do it the Vikram way. The Vikram way was not very easy. So we're long distance for about a year. We get engaged. Everything's hunky-dory. We get married, and nothing's improving. It's just not getting a lot better. But I thought, you know, if I make more money, if I work harder, if I'm not around her as much, maybe distance will make the heart grow fonder. I mean, we were already really far to begin with when we met, and that didn't make the heart grow fonder. But our relationship was so abusive, and I have never really talked about this. I was abusive and she was abusive. And the reason I share this with you is because, I don't know, fuck it. I just want to get it off my chest. Maybe it'll help you, but it's definitely going to help me. It started out with name calling. You're a fucking loser. You're a knife salesperson. You're a wannabe. And then it went to worse name calling, to more personal attacks, to now it's starting to get really hot and heavy. We're sleeping in separate rooms. We're not physical in the right ways. We buy a house, we renovate it, we live in nice apartments, right? Whatever she wanted, I try to provide. And there was just no making either one of us happy, right? We just weren't there on our spiritual journeys yet, right? We just weren't there yet on our spiritual journeys. I don't know if she'll ever get there. I don't know if I'll ever get there. I know that I won't give up until the big guy takes me away to improve. And I hope you never give up to improve. And I hope that you never let your pasts become your present and your future, unless the past served you. So things got bad. Things got bad to the point where one day she grabbed a knife and she put it against her arm and said, I'm going to cut myself. I grabbed the knife and I cut my arm multiple times. And I said, this is what it looks like to cut yourself. So if you're going to fucking say you're going to do it, do it. Otherwise, don't ever threaten me again with this, because this was like the 100th time that I'm going to kill myself. But it was maybe the 10th time that she pulled out a weapon and actually did it. I grabbed the knife and I said, if you ever say this again, like, I'm definitely out the door. But don't say things you don't mean, because if you want to die, then just let's figure this out, because there's people out there that are dead that wish they were alive. So don't wish death upon yourself. It's just not cool. Fast forward, a few months go by, house is remodeled, it's beautiful, way more money, way more time, but it's awesome. One of the nicest neighborhoods of the city. We got a steal. And I'm just done. Like, you know, when you're done with something, you're done. I was done. Her mom came to visit with her little sister. I wish I could have done it differently, but I felt like I was babysitting somebody, and she probably felt the same thing too. So I can only talk about how I felt. And I just didn't come home that day. Like, I went out to work and something in my body just turned off, and I couldn't physically drive the car back to the house. And there was something in there that's like, she's safe and this is no longer your issue. And I left. My parents were like, you know, work it out, do what you got to do. And I was like, I just don't know if I can. So they're like, just give it a try, you know, like one try. So my superpower, my superhero came out and said, all right, fine, we can do this. So we go out, we do counseling, we go out. The counselor told us, I don't know that I can help you, but I think you guys should probably call a divorce attorney because I don't want to read about one of you in the paper. One of you is going to be in jail. One of you is going to be in the paper under the obituaries. And I don't want to read that because you both seem like really nice people. And I was like, damn, that's aggressive. Remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. Think about sometimes when you say something to somebody that's a little inappropriate, that you don't really think's a big deal. It is. Just be conscious about the language you use. So we end up getting a divorce. We did the counseling. We tried to make it work. It didn't work. We end up getting a divorce. And I go off onto my world of thinking that I'm going to become this billionaire, which I'm still going to become. But I thought I was going to become a billionaire with what I was doing at the time. And I start selling real estate. And it starts picking up, and it starts picking up fast, and it starts picking up real fast. And then it starts picking up real fast where I'm like, I need help. So I start hiring assistants, and this is people like, don't hire assistants, don't spend money, don't do this, don't do that. Everybody tells you what not to do, right? Nobody's like encouraging you to grow. Everybody's telling you what not to do. So we start to sell real estate, and the team starts growing. And the reputation starts growing of like, these guys are hustlers. Like, if you want shit done, you call them. And we're spending a lot of money advertising and doing videos and doing all this content. And I started to make some pretty good money. First time making 6 figures in a year. People started to recognize who you were when you're going out and drinks and dinners. Like, oh, you're that realtor dude that's always on Facebook doing videos. It's like, yeah, okay. And then the ego starts taking over. And let me tell you, my ego is big, real big. And that's not a bad thing. Don't think your ego is a bad thing. An unchecked ego is a bad thing. A good ego, one that you know how to put in check and say, hey, you go to the corner and sit down. I don't need you right now. Well, that's a different story. I had the ego that loved the attention. Still does. That hasn't changed. It's what gives me the power to get up here and say things. But I was just a real douchebag. Women were just objects. They're just toys. Come and go whenever I wanted, did whatever I wanted. Didn't care about who I hurt, what I said. It's just all about me. And sometimes that's okay. And sometimes it's not. This time it wasn't okay. So I'm at a party one day and I see the most beautiful girl I've ever seen in my life. I mean, like, I had my back to the door, and when she walked in, I just knew she was there. And I turned around and I was like, to my friend, I'm like, who's that girl? She's like, so-and-so. And I'm like, yeah, who's she? She's like, so-and-so's sister. I'm like, I need to talk to her immediately. She's like, go talk to her. I'm like, well, I don't know what to say. She's like, how about hello? Like I've seen you with lots of people and you're never shy, especially after a couple drinks. I'm like, oh yeah, that's what I need. Let me get a couple more. She's like, oh, okay, fine. So grab a couple more liquid courages, walk up to her. And it's interesting because when you think you found everything, you would think you would stop everything. And for a while, I was pretty good, dude. Still arrogant, still all about building my business, my career, my bank account, my portfolio. It seemed like the harder I tried to build it, the harder it became. And it started becoming work. Remember, what doesn't kill you makes you stronger. So this is when shit gets real for me. Everything else up until this point was like cakewalk type of shit. It was tough. It was challenging, but I've been conditioned. I got sent to school at 6th grade out of the country where I had to take care of myself in a lot of ways. I flew across the world with my older brother and I when we were like 10, 11 years old, just the two of us across the world. Like this was back 20 freaking years ago, 25 years ago. Shit, I'm 38. It's like 25, 26 years ago. You don't just put your kid in an airplane and send him across the world anymore. But back then it was a different world. I remember me and my brother would be sitting in Singapore, this big ass airport by ourselves, just chilling, like with our little Game Boys, like $5 in our pocket, probably like a couple $100 each, like $100 each. And we would just be left alone. And it was super cool. So I knew how to take care of myself. I knew how to fend for myself. I didn't need somebody to cook for me. I didn't need somebody to clean for me. And I could take care of myself. I learned how to do all that stuff at a young age. What I didn't know how to do was take care of other people in their relationships. What I didn't know how to do was take care of myself in a partnership. What I didn't know how to do was have a healthy connection with another human being and actually accept it, that they want good for me. Because I couldn't love myself. I couldn't look in the mirror. For probably a 25 to 36, I really didn't look in the mirror when I got dressed. When I shaved, I looked at the part that I was shaved. When I did my hair, I did my hair. I didn't look myself in the eyes ever. I was ashamed of myself. I'd come home and I'd cry on my couch. You know, this is a guy that's got a business that's doing $50 million a year in real estate sales. And I'd sit on my couch and I'd cry, lonely, by myself. Because when you push people away, you have nothing but yourself. And if you hate yourself, well, then you have really nothing. And I fucking hated myself. I didn't feel worthy. I didn't feel loved. I didn't feel like I belonged. I didn't feel like the success should have been mine. I didn't feel like any of it belonged. So then the self-sabotage started. And oh man, let me tell you, when I put my mind at something, I am a fucking champion. And the self-sabotage started to happen. And it was so good. It was so good. So I wasn't faithful to my ex-girlfriend. We were 100% boyfriend, girlfriend, talk of the town couple. Everybody knew who we were, that, you know, I thought mattered. The bars and, you know, the restaurant scene and, you know, wherever you can be viewed as a who's who, we were there. If a table was at a certain restaurants, we would walk in, there's a line, no waits, walk into bars, no waits, walk into nightclubs. No, I mean, we were like celebrities, which wasn't good for a big ego. Well, then came the nights. That one night where everything unraveled. And before I move on, do you have one night where everything in your life unraveled? Do you have a moment where things started to unravel that you haven't forgiven yourself for? You haven't accepted? You haven't just said, you know what, this was meant for a reason? So the night happens. She goes out with her friends. I had brought a speaker in to help my team with coaching. And we went out. The program was over. We went out and we had drinks. And I saw my title and escrow guy at the bar. So I sent him a round of shots for him and his friends. Then he sent me a round of shots, and I sent him a round of shots, and he sent me 2 rounds of shots. The next thing you know, we're, 5 shots, 10 drinks in. We're 20 people at the bar, and it's midnight. And so people start going home, but I'm like, party Vic, midnight. This is like, it's like this night just started for me. What are you guys talking about? Go home. So I continued out drinking. One of my best friends ended up going home. He's not my caretaker. He wasn't responsible for me. Plus, remember what I said earlier. If you keep doing the same thing and you keep getting the same results, you're just not listening. I wasn't listening. So as I'm walking from one restaurant to the next bar, I'm by myself. Everybody had left. It's probably 12:30. This is like my hood. So walking back then alone to a bar was no big deal because I knew that I would find some people that I would know at the next place. Bump into a guy and he's like, "Hey, I just came from Seattle." I'm like, "Oh, okay, good for you. Well, how was it? Should we go back?" He's like, "Nah, it's pretty dead, but are you still dating that one chick?" And I'm like, "I think so. Yeah, pretty sure I am." He's like, "Well, I don't know what to say, man." I'm like, "Well, is she okay?" And granted, I hadn't been a very good boyfriend, so it's questionable that I should even had any ill feelings when I heard what happened. He goes, "Well, you know that one dude?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that one guy. He's really liked her too when we started dating." He's like, "Well, I saw her sitting on his lap and they were making out." That put me into a spiral. I went to the next bar and I drank 5 or 6 shots of tequila. My drink back in the day was double Red Bull sugar-free vodkas. And I told the bartender to line them up. And these are big boy glasses. These aren't like the little baby. These are big boy glasses. And I'm a good tipper. And they lined them up. And I went from 100 to 1 million in an instant. How I didn't die that night, I don't know. Maybe it's because I'm supposed to share some story with people. And I ended up going home with a girl. And it's like 5 o'clock in the morning. And she's like, "You got to go home." I was so drunk. I don't even I was just sitting on the couch, like trying not to puke. I went to her house, drank a bottle of wine. I was just trying to drown my sorrows, but it wasn't really drown those. I just wanted to kill myself, really. I've attempted suicide a couple times, like fakely, by drinking a lot, but I really just wanted to fucking bury my head into the ground. Not because she cheated on me, but because my ego was so much more damaged that I just felt like the biggest loser ever. And I just didn't want to face the next day. And I was so wasted. It was insane. And she's like, "You have to go home. Like, you're drunk. My kid's here." I'm like, "You have a kid?" She's like, "I've known you for 2 years." And I'm like, "Oh yeah. Okay. Well, clearly I didn't listen. It's all about me. It's the Vic show. I thought you knew. You didn't get the fucking memo. Here, let me post it on your door tomorrow so you now know what to expect." And I get into an Uber, and it's so surreal. Like, I can see from third picture down. Like, I can see all of this happening, but yet I couldn't control any of it. I go to my house. I get the key to her place. I go to her place, and I just start trashing it. I break her phone. I throw a pair of shoes that I just bought down the hallway and break them. Kicked a door in. Threw a pot that I bought her. Threw a chair into the window. Pretty fucked up shit to somebody who you allegedly care so much about. Again, when you're not keeping yourself in check, you let anything happen. And then you wake up. All of a sudden, reality hits. You wake up. The neighbor knocks on the door. She runs outside. She's freaking out. Her friend who was with her calls the police. So now there's 2 girls in there that are freaked out. She was hitting me before all of it started. It doesn't even matter. It doesn't even matter what happened. It just fucking lost control. And I leave, and my buddy lived in the building. So I run down the stairs, go to his apartment. I know his door is always open, walk in, fall asleep on the couch. And not more than 4 minutes later, my phone rings, and it rings and it rings and it rings. And I knew who it was. It was the police. They're like, hey, where are you at? We knocked on your door. You didn't pick up. We need to ask you some questions. I'm like, are you going to arrest me? And I remember it. Like, I can't imagine. There's some days where I don't remember waking up. I remember everything perfectly. And I go to jail with 3 felony convictions or 3 felony charges. In my mind, I was like that good Indian kid that never got in trouble, right? Always got away with everything. Always found the solution out. Always had the answer. Always had the right thing to say. And there was nothing I could say. And I go to jail. I go to jail. I'm not built for jail, people. These muscles are fake. This isn't me. This is a costume. Because at that point, I was broken. I was scared. And I didn't know what was happening. Sometimes the lowest points in your life are really the highlight reel of your life. And sometimes the highlight reel of your lives are the lowest points of your life. When you post all that shit on Instagram where you're out in Hawaii or you're on a boat or you're with a great dinner, maybe that's real. Maybe it's fake. I don't know. I don't know you. But I do know that every single person on this call has some things that they don't like talking about. Maybe that's your superpower. Maybe you need to talk about that a little bit more. Maybe you need to let it go. Maybe you need to work through it. Don't get over it. Work through it. Power through it. So a year goes by, and I finally get in front of a judge, and I'm wearing a custom suit, haircut, shoes polished, nails manicured. Everything's perfect. Ties on. I mean, everything's perfect. Attorney's there. Everything's perfect. Except for the judge. She wasn't perfect. The district attorney said, hey, Your Honor, first time offense. They've already taken care of restitution and damages outside of court. Slap on the hand, let him get back to his life, and hopefully we never see him again. And she looked me in the eyes, and she says, you know what, sir? I'm going to sentence you to 30 days in jail. What? Huh? Wait. You're supposed to slap me on the hand and say, don't do that again. All the charges are dismissed. Go home. Do not collect $200 on your way home. Sit at home, do some crying, and think about what you did. Write some letters, say you're sorry, and get back to work. No, she said, you have to turn yourself in, and you got 30 days in jail. I didn't know what to say. And she says, do you want to know why, young man? And I said, uh-huh. She said, because you haven't learned your lesson yet. She said, you didn't learn your lesson. And at the time, I'm like, fuck you. You don't know anything about me. But in my heart, I knew she was right, which sucked. Because I'd rather just say, fuck you. You're a mean person. So now I have a divorce. I've been a drug dealer. I've been now sentenced to jail for domestic violence. And I just feel like an absolute loser. Like, take all those feelings that I had earlier and just multiply them by like 1 trillion.
You waiting for us to do the math? Or
Man, right when it was starting to get good. Right when it was starting to get good. See, this is the universe saying, just shut up, Vic. Stop talking. This is the brain, the mind trying to control you from hurting. It's trying to stop the pain. It's trying to stop the growth. See, the mind doesn't want to grow. The mind wants to stay safe. And it's like, no, don't talk about this stuff. This isn't safe. This is putting yourself out there. This is really you're really putting yourself out there. Like, don't do it. I don't know where I was, but I do my 19 days in jail. It was 19 nights. I got out every day for work release, but still, I did my 19 days in jail. And I just knew that something had to change in my life. Have you ever felt like that? Have you ever felt like you just got to change something? Like you just need to change. Something's got to give. Like something's got to give, right? I went from 185 pounds to 140. I went from a healthy 35 or 4-year-old male to looking like one that was malnutrition on the street. My testosterone levels went from normal to that of a 95-year-old woman. I had no energy, no desires. Didn't leave my house. I was a prisoner in my house for years. Because if I went out in town and she saw me and I saw her, and I had to leave. And I didn't really need to go out anymore. I kind of been there, done that, started to grow. And sometimes the things that you think are the worst that can happen for you, this is the best thing. Remember that. Never forget it. Don't discount your failures. Don't discount the things that hurt. Don't discount the pain that's caused from these experiences. Because these experiences that you go through make you who you are. They turn you into the person you need to be. And if you discount those experiences for learning lessons that's available to you, disappears. My goal was to make somebody cry today, but it not being me. And it's because if you cry, it means you're releasing something from you that no longer serves you. If you let it go, I promise you, it feels so much better. And you know, the thing that I realized by spending a year in the Tony Robbins Platinum Circle and meeting such amazing people is that people don't care about what you did as much as you do. They care about where you're going. They care about what are you doing right now with yourself. Right? We all are going to make mistakes. I hope you don't make the mistake where you end up in jail. But if you do, it's okay. What I learned from being a Tony Robbins event, that a lot of the people there that I looked up to have criminal records. And it's okay. A lot of the people that were there had screwed things up. And guess what? They were still loved. You know where the love starts? It starts right here. You have to look at yourself as your own superhero. You have to be so mentally tough that you can get through anything. Because the universe is going to always throw stuff at you. She's not stupid. She knows exactly what you need, right? And it's a she, because let's be honest. Guys, if it was a dude, he'd be like looking into the horizon, looking for the next, kill, and we wouldn't have any growth. We'd just be trying to eat. So thank God the universe is a woman. Humor fixes a lot of stuff. Being able to laugh at yourself in your worst times will give you the strength to build an investment. Why did I share this story with you? Because we committed 14 days ago to go from limited to limitless. This is probably not the biggest stage I've shared this stuff on, but it's probably the scariest one. Because when you put yourself out on a stage at like a Tony Robbins event, or Mary Lewis, or Alison Armstrong, or Byron Katie, or I can't even think of her name right now, it's driving me crazy. Tuned in, turned on, tapped on. Somebody help me out here. Byron Katie, tuned in, Alison Armstrong. Somebody help me out in the chat. Tuned in, turned on. Oh, she does retreats on cruises. That's perfect. Now, when you're in those events, everybody's open. We're more open. But when you're here in the real world, when you have to face judgment, you have to face your 27-year-old cousin on the call, and you have to see him at an event, and he may or may not know all of these things. He probably knows some of them. He might not know all of them. When you put yourself out there, it's hard. It's hard to go to the next dinner party and hold that head up high. But you condition yourself every day. We are champions. We are leaders. We are limitless potential. We came into this world with no fear. We enter this world and we are just driven down with fear. How many people right now are in their house scared to go outside and touch another human being when all we crave is human interaction and touch? How many people are never going to recover from this because they have a weak mindset? How many people have a story to share that can impact millions, if not billions of people, and they won't do it because they don't want to get booed off stage or told that they're an idiot by somebody that matters to them. So they just keep their mouth shut for years. They suffer in silence. I give you permission. Whether you need it or not, I give you permission to be you in all your beauty and glory right now. You don't need to suffer anymore in silence. You know what's so cool about the millennials? I think I'm one of them. You know what's so cool about them? Is that they're so open to different people. They're so open-minded. They're so unclosed off. They want these idealistic things, which in some regards I want to punch them in the face for. But in other regards, I'm just so enlightened by them. And how they can just walk through life so carefree with just all sorts of different groups of people around us. I always wanted to hang out with the cool kids until I realized that there are no such things. That I was a cool kid growing up, but I didn't think I was. I had all the friends in the world. I just didn't let them in. When I used to walk around in high school by myself, there was a group of girls that I had known from junior high that said, "Hey, Vic, come hang out with us." But in the moment that I was there, I didn't feel like I was worthy of these pretty girls to hang out with. So I chose not to. And then sometimes I walk to the payphones. You guys all remember the payphones in school? Sometimes I'd walk to the payphone, I'd pick it up, and I'd pretending like I was talking to somebody because I knew there were people behind me. So I'd pretend like I was talking to somebody, like I had real friends, but they just weren't here. But, you know, like, where the fuck would my friends be except for at school, right? Let's be honest. Who would I be calling in the middle of the day? It's school time. I'm 13. Who would I call? But I would pretend to call them to feel like I belong. But the whole time, I belong. You have a story to tell. It might not be today. Might not be tomorrow. Remember, your story matters. If you weren't supposed to be here, you wouldn't have been put here. You're here in this exact moment of time. You're here with the exact body that you're in. You're here with the exact soul that picked your human experience. Because you matter. And your story matters. And you can be like Superman Wolf guy and say, you know what, I'm limitless. I'm going to dress up, not just put on a costume and a hat, like I'm going to full-blown dress up. Or you can be like somebody who doesn't yet want to show their face because they don't know the people here. Well, guess what? Nobody knows that. Nobody knows Megan. I might know you. Nobody else does here. They're not your friends. They're my connections. This is your time. Winter is your time. This is your time. The universe has stopped. The whole world has stopped for you to step up. The choice is up to you whether or not you want to step up. I can't make you step up. I can't force you to step up. I can only be there to hold your hand and lift you up when it hurts. Because let me tell you, this pain of having surgery and breaking a bone is nothing compared to the pain of carrying around for years, I'm not worthy, or I don't belong. Oh, gosh, I keep trying not to cry. Oh. I can't believe you guys are still listening. I would have hung up a long time ago. Use this time for yourself. Use this time to reset. Use this time to be you. Find yourself if you're lost. You're really not lost. You've always been there. You'll always be there. You're never, ever, 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 ever lost. You're just not listening. And I encourage you to ask yourself a couple of questions. Because these questions might be the reason that you end up becoming the next inspirational, motivational speaker. Or this could be the reason why your family, has a better life. You have impact. You are a leader. You are powerful. You don't want mediocrity. Mediocrity doesn't want you. It doesn't look good on you. I'll tell you, it makes your ass look like shit. Winning looks good on you. Winning makes you smell good. Winning your life looks good on you. You guys, I'm on the 5 a.m. call, not every day, but often enough. And Sharon, who's one of my, I'd probably give a kidney for that man, says, no matter how you slice it, greatness is a choice. And I'm going to change it up a little bit. No matter how you slice it, greatness looks good on you. And with that, we are now limitless. And we never, ever leave a party unless we're in peak state. And so that means get your ass up and let's do it. Hold on. Oh, I'm on the wrong thing. Hold on. Let's go. Get your ass up and let's go. Let's do it. Let me get some of my DJ skills. Hold on. Let's go. Get your ass up. Get your ass up. Let's go.
Hold on. Hold on. Let's see if I can do this here. Oh, come on. Oh, we can. Oh, there we go. There we go. Let's do it, y'all. Hey, this isn't a time to be shy. We're fucking limitless. Let's fucking do it. Let's go. Da-da-da-da-da. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. And I'll see y'all in the next quarantine. Hey, it's my time. It's your time. Talk to you guys later. I love you. Thank you for letting me share. Thank you for letting me be a part of your life for the last 2 weeks. Peace out.
It's your birthday. We gon' party like it's your birthday. We gon' sip the time.